My brother mocked me for working two jobs, saying I'd never afford a house. So I bought the one he was renting. Now his landlord is me. I'm Alex, 29 years old, male, and my hands still smell like fryer oil half the time. That's the first thing you need to know. The second is my brother Brandon, 33 years old, male, who thinks every joke lands better if it's on my back. We grew up in Dayton, Ohio, in a split level where the carpet was always a little damp and our dad's toolbox stayed locked because Brandon kept borrowing things and forgetting to return them. That's kind of our whole dynamic in a sentence. He takes, I patch. He laughs, I swallow it. Our mom, Laura, 58 years old, female, pretends not to notice the difference. She's all sighs and soft shoulder pats, like if she keeps the peace long enough, it'll turn real. Boys will be boys, she used to say, when Brandon would accidentally slam my head into the doorframe during wrestling or forget to pick me up after practice. She still says it now, only with more wine in the glass. Brandon's been with Kayla, 30 years old, female, for 3 years. She's nice in that careful way people are when they're always bracing for the next explosion. 2 kids, Mason and Lily, little magnets for every mess. They rent a beige 2-story on a corner lot in Riverside with a porch swing that screams even when the wind isn't hitting it. Their landlord is Mr. Dwyer, 62 years old, male, a sunburned guy who wears socks with sandals and cut his own hair after COVID, and just never stopped. I work the early shift at a distribution center, loading freight until my back ticks like an old clock. Nights I hop into my beat-up Civic and run DoorDash or drive Lyft. I keep a rubber band around my tips and peel off bills like it's some holy ritual, whispering numbers under my breath. The rubber band snapped once and the bills fanned across my floor like green feathers, and I stared at them forever thinking, this is the only way anything in my life will look like wings. Brandon loves to remind me I'm pathetic for doing both. He says it with a grin, like it's a brotherly roast, but it always has teeth. At Mom's last Sunday cookout, burgers on a grill that won't stay lit, flies orbiting the potato salad, he grabbed my elbow in front of everyone and went, "Tell Kayla how many hours you worked this week, Al. He's gonna die before 35, I swear." He looked at me, then at everyone else. All that hustle and you're still in your little studio. You'll never afford a house. Not with those tips, man. The laughter was the worst because it wasn't cruel. It was polite. The kind people give because they don't want to get dragged into the undertow. Kayla stared at the swing. Mom pulled the aluminum foil tighter over the hot dog buns like that might hold the mood in place. I felt heat climb my neck and settle behind my eyes. I said quietly, "I'm saving." And Brandon took a long drink, burped, and clinked his bottle against mine. "To dreams," he said. "Toast to his dreams, Kay." Sometimes I think Brandon's whole personality is the sound of a screen door slamming. He gets loud when life says no. When Mason knocked his juice over, Brandon snapped so hard the kid flinched, and then Brandon smashed his empty bottle into the trash can so aggressively it split the bag and ketchup bled down the side like a crime scene. He grinned afterward, like destroying something reset him to factory settings. I went inside to use the bathroom and just stood in Mom's hallway staring at this crooked picture of me and Brandon at Kings Island, both of us sunburned, his arm thrown around me like a claim. The glass had a spiderweb crack in the corner from some past fight, a hairline starburst over my eye. I touched it and thought, okay, call me dramatic, but some cracks never heal in a straight line. When I came back out, Mr. Dwyer was leaning on the fence talking to Mom about the market. He caught my eye because he doesn't usually come by on Sundays. Thinking of selling, I overheard. Brandon was across the yard trying to get the grill to cough back to life, muttering, "Piece of garbage," and kicking the wheel until it bent. The smell of lighter fluid was a throat punch. "Selling?" I asked, pretending I was reaching for the tongs. Dwyer shrugged, looked at me, looked at Brandon. "Retiring to Florida, tired of shoveling snow," he said. "But it's complicated." Brandon snorted, like everything is a joke when it's not touching him. "It's a dump," he said. "He'll be stuck with it forever." Dwyer's eyes moved to me again. I felt my heartbeat in my eardrums. The rubber band in my pocket pulled tight. And I thought, not for the first time, if there's a way out, it won't be pretty. It might be a tear along an old seam. It might be me learning to choose where to put the crack. The next morning, I dragged myself out of bed with that same pit in my stomach from last night. My brother, Ryan, 36 male, had humiliated me in front of everyone, mocking my two jobs like I was some clown chasing pennies. He smirked while he said, "You'll never own anything, man. You'll be renting forever. That's just your life." The words echoed all night, making it impossible to sleep. Ryan's always been like that. The funny brother who's actually just cruel. Growing up, he'd swipe the last cookie and then laugh when mom blamed me. He once broke my Nintendo and told everyone I cried about it for weeks. I learned early on. His jokes always came at my expense. Still, this hit different. I've been grinding, working days in construction and nights at a diner. My life isn't glamorous, but it's honest. Every paycheck goes towards savings. I don't blow money on bars or gadgets like Ryan does, but in his eyes, I'm still the loser little brother. 2 days later, he showed up at mom's barbecue bragging louder than ever. "You should have seen this house I'm renting. Backyard, open kitchen, vaulted ceilings. No way you'll ever have something like that, Jake." That's me, Jake, 32, male. His girlfriend even giggled like it was the funniest thing she'd ever heard. I wanted to put my fist through the picnic table. But then something happened. My uncle leaned in, real quiet, and told me Ryan's landlord had been hinting about selling. "He's been looking for a buyer, Jake. Doesn't want to deal with tenants anymore. Place isn't even on the market yet." My brain lit up like a fuse. That night, I couldn't stop thinking. I stayed up running numbers, scrolling through listings, checking my savings account. I'd been killing myself with 2 jobs for years. Maybe this was it. The timing, the opportunity, the chance to shut Ryan up for good. So I called the landlord the next morning. We met that weekend. The guy was tired. Done with repairs, done with renting. He named a price that made my throat tighten, but it wasn't impossible. With my savings and a loan, I could do it. Barely. I'd be broke for a while, but I'd own the house. And here's where fate threw me a bone. Ryan had no idea his landlord was selling. He kept bragging at every family get-together, strutting around like he owned the damn place. He even said, "I'll probably buy it off him one day. Make it mine." I bit my tongue so hard it hurt not to laugh, because 2 weeks later, the paperwork was signed. Keys in my hand. The house Ryan had been renting, his pride and joy, was mine. I didn't tell him right away. I let him strut for a few days, still bragging, still mocking me for my diner shifts. But I was sitting on a secret, and the weight of it made every insult easier to swallow. Until the rent notice went out, with my name on it. That was the day everything cracked open. Don't forget to subscribe. When Ryan got that first rent notice with my name on it, he thought it was a joke. He stormed into our mom's kitchen the next morning, waving the envelope like it was radioactive. "What the hell is this?" he barked, slamming it on the counter. My name, Jake Wilson, property owner, was printed right above the due date. Mom tried to smooth it over with her usual, "Now, boys, let's talk about this calmly." But Ryan wasn't hearing it. He jabbed his finger at me like a weapon. "You think this is funny? Some kind of prank? You made fake paperwork?" His voice cracked on fake, and I almost laughed. I pulled the keys from my pocket and tossed them on the counter. The metallic clatter was the loudest sound in the room. "Not fake," I said. "I bought the house." The silence that followed was almost holy. Then Ryan exploded. He swept his arm across the counter, sending Mom's coffee mugs flying and shattering against the floor. "Bullshit," he roared. "You don't have that kind of money. You're a fry cook with a warehouse side gig. You're broke." "Guess not broke enough," I said, trying to keep my voice even. He lunged forward like he was going to hit me, but Mom got between us, hands on his chest. He was shaking, red-faced, spitting mad. "You don't get it," Ryan snarled. "That house is mine. I've been renting there for years. My kids grew up in those rooms." He jabbed his finger into my chest. "You're just doing this to screw me." I didn't flinch. "You mocked me, remember? Said I'd never own anything. Now I own the roof over your head." That set him off worse than I expected. He shoved Mom aside and grabbed the rent notice again, crumpling it in his fist. "You can't just waltz in and take everything from me." "Not everything," I said. "Just what you were too arrogant to buy yourself." He let out this strangled scream, then stomped out the door so hard the hinges rattled. 10 minutes later, I got the first of about 50 texts. Long rants, voice memos, where he's screaming so loud I had to turn the volume down. One said, "You'll regret this, Jake. You don't know who you're messing with." Another, "I'll make sure everyone sees what kind of pathetic loser you really are." The threats didn't stay in text form. That same night, I came home from the diner to find my car keyed from front to back. Long silver scars carved into the paint. My mailbox had been smashed flat with a bat. And sitting in my driveway, crumpled under my windshield wiper, was the rent notice I'd sent him, covered in what looked like spit and scribbled with one word in thick Sharpie, thief. The vandalism didn't stop at my car. Over the next week, Ryan went nuclear. I'd wake up to find trash bags dumped across my porch. Someone pissed on my welcome mat. One night at 2 a.m., my doorbell camera caught him stomping up to my front door shirtless, pounding his fists against it while screaming, "Come out, you coward!" I didn't open the door. I saved the footage. By the third night, neighbors were complaining. Mrs. Harlow from across the street called me at work. "Jake, your brother's outside screaming again. He's scaring the kids." That Friday, it boiled over. Ryan showed up to Mom's backyard cookout already drunk, waving a beer like it was a weapon. He spotted me by the grill and came charging across the yard. "There he is, the big shot landlord," he shouted, loud enough for half the block to hear. "Everybody clap for my little brother who thinks he's better than me now." People froze, forks halfway to their mouths. I didn't rise. "Ryan, you're behind on rent. That's all this is about. Pay it or move." He ripped his shirt collar open, eyes bulging. "You don't get to talk to me like that." He turned, dragging his own kids into it. "Mason, Lily, tell Uncle Jake this is our house. Tell him he can't just steal it from us." The little ones looked terrified. Lily hid behind Kayla's leg. Kayla herself was pale, whispering, "Ryan, stop, please." But he didn't. He grabbed the picnic table and flipped it. Plates, burgers, condiments crashing to the ground. Mustard streaked across the grass like a crime scene. Mom screamed. Ryan turned back to me, chest heaving. "You're a parasite, Jake. You've always been jealous. You'll never be more than a loser with grease on his hands." I held up my phone. "Funny, this loser owns the house you live in, and now I've got video of you trespassing and destroying property." The color drained from his face, but only for a second. Then he charged. I braced, ready to take the hit, but Kayla stepped between us, arms out, screaming, "Enough!" Her voice cracked through the chaos. Ryan froze, nostrils flaring. Everyone was staring. Kayla turned to me, voice shaking. "Is it true? You bought the house?" I nodded. She covered her mouth, eyes wet. Ryan looked around at the silent crowd, realizing he'd just staged his own downfall in front of family and neighbors alike. He spat at the ground, pointed at me, and hissed, "This isn't over." Then he stormed out the gate, his kids scrambling after him. The yard was wrecked, everyone else left in awkward silence. And me? I stood there in the mess, heart hammering, knowing deep down, he wasn't bluffing. He was going to make good on that promise. Don't forget to subscribe. Update. Well, that escalated a hell of a lot faster than I thought it would. First off, thank you to everyone who commented on the original post. I read every reply. Some of you were hilarious. "Charge him double rent for emotional damages" had me wheezing. And some of you were dead serious, telling me to get cameras, get locks changed, get everything in writing. I wish I could say you were overreacting. You weren't. So yeah, the cookout happened. Or should I say the cookout turned into WrestleMania. Ryan flipped a picnic table in front of our mom, his girlfriend, and his kids. The neighbors were watching over the fence like it was a free pay-per-view. I've never seen him lose it that publicly before. A lot of you said he wouldn't stop at words. You were right again. The night after the cookout, he came back. 1:30 a.m., pounding on my door so hard my shelves rattled. I didn't open. Just let the camera record while he shouted about how I'd stolen his home and ruined his family. The messed up part? He brought his kids with him. You can hear Lily crying in the background on the video. Kayla was begging him to go home. It broke me a little, seeing those kids dragged into his tantrum. And yes, cops got involved. I filed a police report for the keyed car and the smashed mailbox. Officer told me flat out, document everything. This guy's escalating. So I did. Gave them the videos. Showed them the rent notice he vandalized. They warned him once. That's all he gets before charges. I've also had to block his number because the texts were relentless. Pages of insults, threats, even sending me blurry pictures of my own house at night like some discount stalker movie. One text literally just said, TikTok. Some of y'all in the comments said I should kick him out immediately. Others said, let him hang himself by not paying rent. I'm torn. The landlord side of me wants to follow the process, give notice, document everything. The brother side of me? Honestly, that part's just done. I don't care about fair anymore. Because here's the kicker. Kayla called me yesterday. Quiet voice like she was hiding in the bathroom. She asked if it was true that Ryan might get them evicted if he doesn't pay. I told her flat out, yes, and it's in his hands. She just whispered, God help us, and hung up. So yeah, Ryan wanted a war, and he's getting one. Not the screaming, bottle-throwing kind he's used to. The slow, legal, ironclad kind. The kind where every tantrum he throws just digs his hole deeper. And I'll admit something ugly. It feels good, watching him flail while the paper trail builds. Watching the same brother who mocked me for working double shifts realize that his landlord isn't some faceless old guy anymore. It's me. Stay tuned. Because if you thought the cookout was bad, wait until you see what happens when the eviction notice goes up on his front door. 2 days after that update, I taped the eviction notice to Ryan's front door. 30 days to vacate. I filmed myself posting it. Timestamp, date, all legal. My hands were steady, but my stomach was boiling. At first, the street was dead quiet. Then the door flew open. Ryan saw the paper, ripped it down, and tore it into confetti right in my face. You think you can kick me out? He screamed. Spit hit my cheek. This is my house. You're just some piece of trash with a loan. Correction, I said, calm as I could. It's mine, and you're not paying rent. That's when he shoved me. Hard. I stumbled back, caught myself, and lifted my phone so the camera stayed on him. His eyes went wide when he realized I was recording. That's assault, I told him flatly. He froze, fists balled. Then he screamed like a cornered animal and slammed the door so hard the glass shook. That night was the worst yet. He parked his car in front of my driveway, blocking me in. My Ring camera caught him stomping across my lawn with a hammer, smashing my porch light. Then came the spray paint, giant red letters across my garage. Thief. The cops came again. I showed them the video. They took it seriously this time, wrote it all down, warned him again. Next step would be charges. The following morning, I found a dead fish stuffed in my mailbox. No note. No explanation. Just stinking proof of how unhinged he was getting. But here's the part that really flipped the script. Kayla showed up at my house. Not with Ryan, by herself. She looked exhausted, makeup smudged, voice low. Jake, he's losing it, she whispered. He's punching holes in the walls, screaming at the kids. They cry themselves to sleep. I felt something shift. I wasn't just his landlord now. I was the one with the power to pull her and those kids out of his chaos. So I leaned forward and said, Kayla, you don't have to stay there. I'll back you up if you want out. Her eyes filled with tears. She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. Just, please don't give him another reason to explode tonight. Then she left. The next evening, I posted a copy of the eviction notice on the outside of his garage door. Neighbors walked by, reading it. One of them even muttered, about damn time. Ryan tore it down again, of course, but the damage was done. Word was out. He wasn't the king of his castle anymore. He was just a tenant about to lose his roof. And watching him realize that, watching him storm around the yard screaming while neighbors whispered, that was the first time I actually felt the revenge start to taste sweet. Eviction day came faster than I expected. 30 days of hell, shouting at night, busted porch light, trash dumped in my yard. But every cop call, every report, every video stacked the case higher. That morning, I showed up with the constable and a locksmith. Neighbors peeked through curtains as the squad car pulled up. Kayla was already outside with the kids, bags packed, faces pale. She didn't even look at Ryan. He came out shirtless, eyes bloodshot, chest heaving like a bull. "You can't do this," he roared. "This is my home." He pounded his fist on his chest, then pointed at me. "You think you're some big man because you saved a few tips? You're nothing." The constable stepped between us. "Mr. Wilson, you've been legally evicted. You need to vacate immediately." Ryan laughed, high-pitched, cracked. "Vacate, vacate, watch me." He stomped back inside. A second later, a crash echoed. Glass shattering. He was smashing his own living room windows. Neighbors gathered on the sidewalk now, phones out, filming. I didn't move. Just stood there, steady. Ryan came back out carrying a framed family photo. He hurled it onto the driveway, glass spraying everywhere. The picture of him, Kayla, and the kids lay under his boot. He stomped on it until the wood cracked in half. Kayla covered her mouth, crying. Mason whimpered, clutching her leg. Then Ryan turned to me, panting. "Congratulations, landlord. You own a pile of rubble now." The constable ordered him to leave. When he refused, they cuffed him. Right there, in front of everyone. He thrashed, screamed, begged, cursed, but they dragged him off the property while the neighbors recorded every second. And here's the part that hit like divine payback. Kayla walked up to me, trembling, and whispered, "Thank you. We're free now." She took her kids and left with her sister, not even glancing back at him. The locksmith changed the locks while I swept broken glass from the driveway. Every slam of the hammer into a new lock sounded like punctuation on the end of Ryan's reign. By sundown, the house was mine in every sense. Quiet. Still. His chaos scrubbed out of it. Later, I checked my phone. The videos were everywhere. Neighbors had posted them online. Ryan, screaming, smashing his own windows, getting cuffed on the lawn while his kids cried. The same brother who mocked me for never owning a house was now immortalized online as the man evicted by his little brother. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like the butt of his joke. I felt like the punchline. Update 2. So, turns out watching your brother get cuffed on his own lawn in front of half the neighborhood doesn't just feel like closure. It goes viral. Yeah. Someone posted the video to Facebook that same night. It spread to the local news groups within 24 hours. Title was brutal. Tenant evicted by his own brother goes berserk. By the weekend, it had thousands of views. People were tagging me, sending me clips. Even coworkers brought it up at the diner like I was some folk hero. Half the comments were clowning on Ryan. Stuff like, "Dude threw a bigger tantrum than my toddler." Imagine flexing that you rent and then finding out your landlord is your own sibling. This is the definition of poetic justice. The other half, not so flattering. I got DMs calling me cold, heartless, family betrayer. A few randos actually said I should have just let him stay because family is family. One woman even messaged me, "No wonder he lost it. You stole his life." To those people, I'll say it here like I said it to them. I didn't steal anything. I worked for it. 2 jobs, years of grinding, no handouts. Ryan had every chance to buy that house himself. He didn't. He laughed in my face instead. But here's the twist nobody expected. Kayla reached out again. This time from her sister's place. She thanked me. Said the kids are calmer now, sleeping better. No more holes punched in the walls at midnight. She told me Mason drew a picture at school of our new house. Just a stick figure family smiling under a roof with no cracks. That hit me harder than any insult ever could. Mom, on the other hand, she's furious. Called me last night slurring her words, saying I humiliated Ryan and destroyed our family name. I hung up when she said, "You should have let him keep the house until he got back on his feet." Back on his feet? The man was never standing in the first place. And Ryan? He's been blowing up Facebook with rants about me, half lies, half conspiracy theories. He posted, "My little brother stole my house and had me arrested. Don't trust snakes, even in your own family." Comments are mostly people roasting him, but he's doubling down. Some of y'all said in the first update, just wait, he'll try something even after eviction. I hate how right you probably are. He's too volatile to just fade away, but here's the thing. I'm not scared anymore. For the first time, I'm holding the cards. The house is mine. The paper trail's airtight. He can scream all he wants, but every sound just echoes in a place that doesn't belong to him anymore. If he wants to keep swinging, let him, because he's already beaten. I thought the eviction was the end. Paperwork filed, locks changed, video gone viral. Ryan cuffed on the lawn in front of his kids. It should have been over. It wasn't. 3 nights later, my doorbell camera caught him creeping back. Hoodie pulled low, backpack slung over his shoulder. 2:47 a.m. He wasn't drunk this time. He was focused. He slipped around the side of my house and cut the power. My place went black. I grabbed the flashlight from my nightstand and went straight for the baseball bat I keep by the door. My heart was hammering, but I didn't flinch. He wanted me scared. Not this time. When I stepped out onto the porch, he was already halfway across the yard with a gas can. My stomach dropped. He was going to torch it. The house he grew up mocking me for never owning. He wanted to burn it down the second it wasn't his. "Ryan!" I bellowed. My voice cracked the silence like a gunshot. He froze. Turned. His face was twisted, teeth bared. "You took everything from me, Jake. If I can't have it, neither can you." He started splashing gasoline on the grass near the porch. That's when the sirens hit. I'd called the cops earlier that week and begged for extra patrols, told them flat out he wasn't finished. By some miracle, a cruiser was only a block away. Red and blue lights exploded across the yard. Ryan dropped the can and bolted, but he didn't make it 10 feet before the officers tackled him into the grass. He screamed like a wild animal, thrashing, spitting, but they dragged him into cuffs again. This time, it wasn't a warning. They charged him. Arson attempt, trespassing, vandalism. He was taken away in the back of that cruiser, howling about how I ruined his life. I stood on the porch barefoot, bat still in my hand, gas fumes burning my throat. Neighbors came out in robes and slippers, staring, whispering. One of them muttered, "Guess the video wasn't the end after all." By sunrise, my phone was blowing up. Mom was hysterical, saying I'd set Ryan up just to get him locked away. I didn't answer. Kayla texted, "I'm sorry. I warned them he'd do something like this. The kids are safe with me." I walked through the quiet house, running my hand along the walls. My house, my space, my peace. Ryan tried to take it from me with fists, with lies, with fire. And now he was sitting in a cell because he couldn't stand that his little brother finally had something he couldn't touch. The funny thing? For years he told me I'd never own a home. Now, not only do I own his old one, I own the story of how he lost it. Ryan's arrest was the nail in the coffin. After the gas can stunt, there was no spinning it, no boys will be boys excuse from Mom. The cops had the video, the fingerprints, the whole damn neighborhood as witnesses. He went from angry tenant to attempted arsonist overnight. Mom still tried, though. She called me sobbing, slurring, "You destroyed your brother's life. You're supposed to protect family, not bury them." I told her the truth. I didn't destroy his life, Mom. He torched it himself. I just held up a mirror. She hung up on me. Haven't heard from her since. Kayla, on the other hand, finally broke free. She moved into her sister's spare room with the kids. When I helped her grab the last of her stuff from the old house, she whispered, "You don't know what you've done for us, Jake. He can't hurt them anymore." Her voice cracked when she said it. For the first time, she didn't look like a hostage. She looked relieved. As for me, I spent a weekend patching holes Ryan had punched in the walls, replacing the smashed windows, painting over the graffiti. Every stroke of the roller felt symbolic, erasing his chaos, reclaiming the space. My space. And the neighbors? Let's just say my reputation changed overnight. The guy they used to see trudging home in a grease-stained uniform is now the one who stood his ground against a violent brother and came out with the house still standing. Mrs. Harlow even brought me a pie, said, "Took guts to do what you did. Most people would have folded." The viral videos still floating around, comments piling up, strangers arguing about whether I'm a hero or a villain. I don't care. The internet can scream all at once. I'm not living for them. I'm living in a house I own. The house my brother mocked me for never being able to afford. The house he lost because he couldn't stop running his mouth because he thought the world owed him everything and I owed him silence. He was wrong on both counts. Now every time I unlock that door, I hear his words echo. You'll never own anything. And I smile. Because the truth is, I own more than just a house. I own the ending to a story he thought he controlled.